It started with my keys. They weren't where I left them. Then, my own words were twisted and fed back to me, making me question my own memory. It all ended with my roommate trying to convince everyone, even me, that I was losing my mind. The scariest part is, I almost believed her. About a year ago, I needed a new roommate. I met Chloe, and it seemed perfect. She was charming and funny, and she seemed just as excited as I was to make our apartment a home. We'd talk for hours about nothing. On paper, she was the perfect roommate. We signed the lease, and for the first month, it was. We cooked together, watched movies. It felt like I'd found a real friend. The apartment was my safe space, my sanctuary. But that feeling was an illusion, and I was about to find out just how fragile it was. The first strange thing was small, so small that I dismissed it immediately. My favorite mug, the one I used every single morning for coffee, was gone from the cupboard. After searching everywhere, I found it pushed to the very back of the silverware drawer. I remember laughing about it, telling Chloe how weird it was. I said, I must have been dead tired last night. She just stared at me for a second too long and said, yeah, you've seemed off lately. I didn't think about it again. But then, things like that kept happening. My keys, which I always, without fail, leave in a bowl by the door, ended up in the bathroom cabinet. My textbook for a Class 1 was already failing vanished the night before the final exam. Chloe found it the next afternoon, tucked away in the laundry hamper. And each time she'd find something, she'd have this look of deep concern on her face. Here it is, she'd say. You really have to be more careful. You're losing things all the time now. A real sense of unease started to creep in. I knew I wasn't this forgetful, but when I tried to talk to her about it, her denial was absolute. She'd insist I'd told her things I had no memory of saying, that I'd been complaining about my memory being shot. When I'd confront her, saying, Chloe, I never said that, she would respond with this dead calm in her voice. Yes, you did. You told me on Tuesday. Don't you remember? Her conviction was so powerful, it started to chip away at my own. I'd walk away thinking, maybe I did say that? Am I really that stressed out? The small things, the misplaced objects, were just a warm-up. The real psychological games began when she started using my friends against me. I had told Chloe in confidence that I was feeling a little anxious about a big presentation at work. Just normal jitters. A week later, a mutual friend, Sarah, was acting distant around me. Finally, she pulled me aside and said, listen, Chloe told me you've been having some really bad anxiety attacks. She said you aren't coping well, and she's just really worried about you. I was floored. She had taken a private, normal feeling and twisted it into a story that made me sound unstable. She was planting seeds of doubt, not just in my head, but in the heads of my closest friends. When I confronted Chloe, she immediately looked wounded. I can't believe you'd accuse me of that. I was just talking to her because I care about you. You're twisting my words because you're so stressed. She called me too sensitive for being hurt. It was terrifyingly effective. She was using my own emotions as proof that her lies were true. Then came the social isolation. Our friends were having a game night, and Chloe was supposed to text everyone the details. She told me it was at 8 p.m. at Sarah's house. I showed up right on time, but the house was completely dark. I called Sarah, confused, and she told me the party was at another friend's house, and it had started an hour ago. When I finally walked in, late and embarrassed, Chloe rushed over to me, her voice dripping with fake pity. In front of everyone, she said, "Oh my God, are you okay? I told you it was at Mark's at 7. I even sent you the address. You must be so overwhelmed with work. Your memory is shot." She made me look like a flake, while she looked like the patient, caring friend. The final straw with her sabotage involved our landlord. I came home from work one day, and found a formal complaint taped to our door. It was for excessive noise and having an unauthorized pet. I was stunned. I don't own a pet, and I am barely ever home. It turned out Chloe had been throwing parties while I was gone and letting a friend's dog stay over for days at a time. When I showed her the notice, her eyes went wide with confusion. Then she looked at me and said the most chilling thing yet. "You know, you were talking in your sleep really loud the other night. Maybe the neighbors heard that? And you keep leaving the balcony door open. Maybe a stray cat got in?" She was creating an alternate reality in real time. A world where everything was somehow my fault. The thought of trying to fight it, of trying to explain this to a landlord, felt impossible. I was trapped. The moment everything shattered didn't come with a fight, but with a quiet conversation I was never meant to hear. I came home early one afternoon, and the apartment was silent. As I walked down the hall, I heard Chloe's voice coming from her bedroom. She was on the phone. Her tone wasn't the sweet, concerned one she used with me. It was sharp, mean. "I swear, she doesn't have a clue," Chloe said. "I moved her wallet this morning, and she spent a full 20 minutes looking for it, just muttering to herself that she's losing her mind. It's almost too easy." There was a pause. "Oh, totally. I've already got Sarah convinced she's about to have a nervous breakdown. By the time our lease is up, everyone will think she's the psycho roommate from hell. I'll get to keep the apartment. She'll be so messed up, she'll probably thank me for helping her pack her bags." Hearing those words was like being thrown into ice-cold water. The fog of confusion and self-doubt that had been suffocating me for months just vanished. It wasn't me. It was never me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't forgetful. I wasn't too sensitive. I was being methodically taken apart by this person. I just felt this cold, clear anger settle in my stomach. The manipulation only worked as long as I doubted myself. And I was done doubting. I didn't confront her. Not then. I waited. I let her finish her call. I went to my room and sat on my bed, my heart pounding, but for the first time in almost a year, I trusted myself completely. Later that night, I asked her to sit down. I wasn't crying. I wasn't yelling. I was just calm. I looked her right in the eye. "I overheard your phone call this afternoon," I said. "The one about moving my things. The one about telling our friends I'm having a breakdown." Her face flashed through a series of emotions. Shock at being caught. Then, the familiar mask of fake concern started to slip into place. "What are you talking about? You must have misheard me. Are you feeling okay?" I cut her off. "No," I said, my voice flat and hard. "I'm not doing this anymore. I know what you've been doing." When she saw her usual tricks weren't going to work, the mask didn't just slip, it fell off. Her face twisted into a sneer. She didn't bother to confess, she just attacked. "You're pathetic," she said. "You always have been." The next few weeks were hell. Leaving a situation like that isn't easy. There was a lease, shared finances, and the nightmare of separating my life from hers while still living under the same roof. I wrote down every incident I could remember. I took the complaint notice to my landlord and told him everything. I talked to Sarah, and thankfully, when she heard my side, without Chloe there to spin it, she finally understood. It wasn't a clean break. It was a slow, painful process of escaping a toxic person who had almost destroyed my mental health. Living with a person like that is like living in a funhouse of mirrors. It's a prison designed to make you question your own mind. It's a type of psychological abuse so insidious that you start to blame yourself, to apologize for things you never even did. It took a long time to learn how to trust my own judgment again, to understand that my memories are real and that my feelings are valid. That horrible experience taught me that there are people out there who will try to systematically deny your reality for their own benefit. They are not your friends. The most important lesson was learning to listen to that small voice in the back of your head, The one that tells you, wait, that's not right. If this is happening to you, know this. You are not crazy, and you are not alone. Trust that feeling in your gut. It might just save you. Have you ever dealt with a master manipulator or had a roommate from hell? I want to read your story in the comments below. These things happen in the dark, and we need to drag them into the light. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for listening.